Okay, so today we are going to do the distance formula, which really the distance formula is just wanting to find what is the length or the distance from one endpoint to the other. There's two ways you can do this. One is Pythagorean theorem, which you guys know from previous years, but you can also use this distance formula, and this is what we're going to be using going forward. So the first example is going to be from a graph. So for the graph, you have an endpoint here and then an endpoint here. What we first need to start off doing is writing what those coordinates are. So this first one here is -5 and 3. So we're going to say -5, comma 3 for the first one. The second endpoint is right here at the bottom, and that is -2 and then -3. -2, comma, -3. So next, all we do is basically substitute into our formula. So it's going to be d equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Now that all looks really crazy and a little scary, but I promise you it's really not. What this basically means is you're taking an x and subtracting an x, taking your y and subtracting a y. Now, it says x2 meaning the second x value, but really you could have picked either one of these to be your second value. It doesn't matter. So you can use, honestly, the first x that you see, subtract the second one. Either way, it'll get you to the same answer. So I don't like to always say, okay, x2, I got to start with the second x, and then I got to remember what the first one is. I like to just start with the first one and then go to the second one. I promise you it will still get to the same answer. So what we're going to do first is say d equals, and then I'm going to draw the square root in after I write everything underneath the square root. So then we see, okay, parentheses, and it is x minus x. So remember in a coordinate, your ordered pair is x and then y, x and then y. So this first number is x, so we say -5 for x, and then we are subtracting, so you say minus your other x value, which in this case is -2. So notice it has two negatives on here, and that is perfectly fine because we are subtracting a negative number, subtracting from the formula. If you do not have that on there, it will end up being incorrect. And then we need to square that. So you hit control period, and that squares it. Control period to get out of it. And then we continue on. It is then plus in the middle. And then we do the same thing for our y values. So I have 3, and then the formula tells me subtract, so I'm going to put subtract the next y value, which is -3. And that is also squared. Control period, and I squared. Now, if you had me last year, you know I do not like to keep these two negatives. So what we do is we know two negatives actually make a positive. So you erase your double negatives, make them a plus sign. But we do need, I told you I was going to put the square root in at the end. The easiest way that I have found to do that is if you come up here to your toolbar, this line here, if you click on the down arrow, you can change what type of line you want. And we're just going to do a scribble. And it lets you basically draw the square root on here. It does not have to be perfect as long as you are knowing that it is a square root. So you can see my little square root there. So then all you do is basically go to your Desmos calculator and put this in. So I will do desmos.com/calculator. And we have to, oh man,